Yo, what's up guys, Sam here. Welcome back to another video. iOS 13.1 is already out. I promise you this is not clickbait. Apple has actually planned to fix a lot of bugs early on and also release a major update with some pretty big features like Share ETA in Maps, AirPods audio sharing, and even some cool new dynamic wallpapers, plus a ton of other features and changes as well. iPad OS even out now today as well. The biggest update to the iPad ever ships alongside iOS 13.1 for the iPhone. So if you're excited for this video, I want to show you guys all the new stuff in the update. Drop a like down below and of course hit subscribe so you stay up to date and don't miss a beat on the latest Apple news. Now in addition to being out for the iPhone and the iPad, it's also the first version of iOS 13 that is available for the 7th generation iPod Touch. As you know, Apple cut off support for the 6th generation iPod Touch, and until now there was no way to officially get iOS 13 except in beta form. So if you have an iPod Touch, out now for you as well. And let me know if you guys are rocking one of these down below. So here's a look at the official changelog from Apple. As you guys can see, there's a ton in this update. So many fixes already that I want to go through individually to show you guys everything that has changed. First up, if you actually got one of the new iPhones, the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, or even the iPhone 11 Pro Max, aside from them looking pretty cool with the additional camera on each of the models, Apple has now introduced a new feature for them already. So inside of the new iPhone 11s, there's a new U1 chip with ultra wideband support and spatial awareness. So what this means is that right now with AirDrop, which has always been a bit finicky, I could point my iPhone 11 at somebody else's iPhone 11 and it would pop up with something that looks like this, where the person I'm pointing at will actually propagate first on the list over everyone else and also appear at the top. Now, Apple's planning more features for the U1 chip in the future, but right now this is here, and your iPhone 11 that you may have just purchased a few days ago already got a new feature. Now moving on to changes for all devices. Inside of the Maps app, you guys can now share ETA. So if you've ever been on the way somewhere and you want someone to know exactly how far away you are and you want the truth and nothing but the truth, you've got Share ETA. It is this new icon right here, again available for all devices, and you can share with one of your contacts as such. And it will actually automatically propagate the contacts using machine learning that you probably want to share with first. And if obviously nobody is on here that you want to share with, there's that additional contacts button. When you press that, pops up with all your contacts and of course all their personal information that I had to blur out. Moving on to something a bit more exciting though, new wallpapers inside of iOS 13. Not stills or live wallpapers, but new dynamic wallpapers. As you guys can see here, this one has multicolored bubbles and it looks cool, but at this point I feel like Apple is trolling us because guys, there's been no other style of dynamic wallpaper since 2013 when iOS 7 was released. You guys remember this was in the original iOS 7 beta 1 back in the day in June of 2013, and they have not updated these. Apple has to realize that dynamic wallpapers mean more than just bubbles floating around the screen. They could do waves or some movement that's different than bubbles. So we've got new ones. This one is my personal favorite, but still a bit cheesy if you ask me. Now the Shortcuts app had a cool feature planned for iOS 13.0 that Apple pushed back just a few days to 13.1, and that is automations. This is where it's going to allow you to do personal automations or home automations. So a perfect example is being able to walk inside of your house, when you arrive somewhere, and airplane mode could turn on or Wi-Fi could turn on. But also if you have some smart HomeKit accessories, your lights could turn on, your oven could start preheating, you could put a certain album or song on playing automatically on your HomePod. I know there's some of you out there that use this type of thing, but even myself, I don't really mess around with it just because I don't have that many automations to do. On the home screen, there is actually one change that I was kind of surprised to see. There is a new Apple TV icon. Now, Apple's changing this to probably garner some attention for their upcoming streaming service, Apple TV Plus, but surprisingly, TV Plus doesn't come out until November 1st, so why Apple updated the icon so early, I guess we'll never know, but probably just to get people to open it and see, oh, look what's front and center, Apple TV Plus coming November 1st. I don't know if there's some weird psychology there that's gonna make us tap on the icon or something, but another small change that you may not have noticed right away in iOS 13.1. If you've ever wanted to share audio with more than one pair of AirPods, you can now do that, but it's actually not restricted to just AirPods. You guys can do this with Apple branded earbuds as well. So I don't actually have a second pair to show you the feature, but this is what it's going to look like whenever it's enabled. It finally allows you to not have to do the okay, you get one earbud, I get the other, and then we'll both half suffer as the quality is not that good. You can pair two full sets of Apple branded headphones together so you can enjoy that video or that song in perfect sync with one another. So that's super cool. Inside of settings on iOS 13.1, font management was new in iOS 13, but 13.1 slightly tweaks the way this page looks. Now it says no fonts installed. You can download and install fonts from the App Store. When you do that, it just takes you to this weird like general apps page. So I think Apple is supposed to redirect you to apps that allow you to download fonts, because I don't exactly think OpenTable is going to help me, or 1Password are going to help me install some fonts onto my device. So I don't know if Apple can fix this proactively, because this is the final release version of iOS 13.1 that's available for everybody, and it's not exactly working. In iOS 13.1, Apple's introduced a new battery health feature that will essentially slow down your charge rate whenever your iPhone is charging, so that the battery lasts longer. Because if you fill up batteries really quickly, this is the same as it is for iPhones as it is with electric cars, it's going to degrade really fast, and that's just how lithium-ion batteries work as of right now. So Apple's introduced a feature to make your battery life better. It will charge like usually up to 80% and then trickle charge the rest, so that again, when you go to check your battery a year after owning your iPhone, you don't already need to replace it, or longer down the road, 2 or 3 years, who knows how long it could last with this new feature. Now, if you don't want to use the optimized battery charging, you don't have to, and Apple's put this option here for us, probably not because it's best for our phones, but because they don't want to get in trouble like with the battery optimization scandal from a couple of years ago. And just like on older iPhones, your new iPhone 11, 11 Pro, or 11 Pro Max now has the feature to where if your battery degrades past a certain point, like years after using the device, it will start to meter and slow down performance. Now, this sounds bad, but Apple says it's going to make you not experience unexpected shutdowns. A lot of people think that Apple does this to make you want to buy a new iPhone, but I think it is genuinely, now at least, to make sure that your device doesn't shut down when it's doing something important. Now, when that happens, Apple will notify you in here if you ever want to check that you aren't experiencing peak performance, and you can actually disable the performance metering if you want to experience the peak performance again, and then make it so your iPhone could unexpectedly shut down. Apple also says they will notify you in the same battery health section if you have a quote-unquote non-genuine Apple battery. They're going to warn you in here that, hey, maybe that's not the best idea. And again, this is all new just for the newest iPhones, 11, 11 Pro, and 11 Pro Max in 13.1. Now, on top of all this, because this is the first major update to iOS 13, Apple has introduced a ton of other stuff in here as well. As you guys can see, the changelog for fixes is pretty insane. So I want to read through these now, just in case you've experienced any of these. There's a good chance that the main bugs you've had with iOS 13 have already been fixed just less than a week after iOS 13 was released. So props to Apple for doing that. First up, iOS 13.1 adds a link to the Me tab in Find My to allow a guest to sign in and locate a missing device. Here's what that looks like in action. Apple has a new Help a Friend button, just plain and simple. If your friend lost their iPhone or their Apple Watch or their AirPods and you want to help them, you can do that. Just tap on Help a Friend and Apple will shoot you directly over to iCloud.com like so. iOS 13.1 will also let you know if your display can't be verified to be new or genuine, because Apple doesn't want you really messing with anything else on the iPhones that just came out. Now, again, this is a feature that was already on other iPhones, but in 13.1, Apple's added that software support for the newest ones that just came out. iOS 13.1, getting into the nitty-gritty bug fixes, addresses issues in mail that could cause incorrect download counts, missing senders and subjects, difficulties selecting or flagging threads, duplicate notifications, or overlapping fields. Sounds like it pretty much makes the Mail app usable now. Definitely one of the weakest parts of iOS 13, now a lot better. Also fixes an issue in Mail that could prevent background downloading of email messages. Next up, if emoji weren't properly tracking facial expressions inside of the Messages app, Apple has corrected that now. There's also a correction in the Messages app as well, where photos might not display as expected in the details view. iOS 13.1 also fixes an issue in Reminders that prevented some users from sharing iCloud lists. Resolves an issue in Notes where Exchange notes may not show up in search results. That's a weird one. Addresses an issue in Calendar where birthday events could appear multiple times. Addresses an issue that could prevent third-party sign-in screens from appearing in the Files app. Fixes an issue that could cause camera orientation to appear rotated when swiping to it from the lock screen. Addresses an issue that could cause the display to sleep while interacting with the lock screen. Resolves issues where app icons could appear as blank or as a different app on the home screen. That's really funny. Resolves an issue that could prevent supported wallpapers from changing or switching appearances between light and dark modes, because we do have dark mode in iOS 13. iOS 13.1 addresses stability issues when signing out of iCloud from passwords and accounts in settings. fixes an issue where signing in to update Apple ID settings could fail repeatedly, just time and time again. Fixes an issue that could prevent the device from vibrating when connecting to a charger. Addresses an issue that could cause people or groups in the share sheet to appear blurred. That was another super strange bug. I wonder how half of these happen. Fixes an issue that could prevent alternate words from displaying when tapping on a misspelled word. Resolves an issue where multilingual typing could stop working. Addresses an issue that could prevent switching back to the QuickType keyboard after using a third-party keyboard. And the QuickType keyboard is just Apple's stock one. Fixes an issue that could prevent the edit menu from appearing when selecting text. And the two final changes are for CarPlay only. Fixes an issue where Siri might not be reading messages as expected, and also addresses an issue that could have prevented sending a message using third-party apps in CarPlay. So that is the full changelog in iOS 13.1. I hope you guys can see how ridiculous that is. Just remember, again, iOS 13, or now technically iPad OS, is also out for the iPad. So if you guys were waiting on this forever, iOS 13.1 out now for the iPad in full-fledged glory right now with game controller support, dark mode, this redesigned home screen, mouse support, external hard drive support. There's so much new in this update. I want to hear your thoughts about all this down below. So let me know when or if you're going to be updating to iOS 13.1. Honestly, for the second update to iOS 13, it is so stable. The battery life has been really good. I can't honestly think of a reason why you wouldn't want to upgrade. So hit like if you enjoyed this video or you learned something new. Hit subscribe for more. That's all I've got for you guys now, and I'll catch up with you in my next video.